Welcome back to Fishing Without Bait, where we're continuing our conversation with the delightful Tara from California from www.keepcomingback.net. You mentioned something that's central to the 12-step world, and that's getting out of the problem and getting into the solution.
And it's hard to do when you're taken down by your emotions. And I think a lot of people in the rooms of recovery, at least Alcoholics Anonymous, I've not spent a lot of time in the others. We can be a very tenacious bunch of people.
We can be quite willful, and you're talking about ego deflation.
Yeah.
Well, if we're not talking about the solution at the meetings, what are we talking about?
True story. Agreed. And there's a lot of meetings that don't do that. And that certainly works for people because people show up. And then there's some people that are super extreme about what they get in their meetings. There's these primary purpose folks that have these, what I consider extreme, but it works for them. So that's why we have our traditions, to let everybody, each group is autonomous, and so be it.
Well, my thoughts are, sometimes it's not what you get out of the meeting, it's what you bring to it, Tara.
Yeah. I bring inappropriate jokes usually.
I think that's great. I thought about some other things that sometimes people in the outside world might think it's very strange. So sometimes when I bring it up, people look at me sideways when I often gift them the gift of desperation. I wish them the gift of desperation. What's your thoughts on that, Tara?
They're definitely growing as my sobriety length grows. I used to think that could be avoided, that we can help people from their bottom, which is just my ego, right? It's just me thinking I can do something that I cannot. My very best friend, and I may or may not have spoken about her on here, but I definitely spoke about her on my share on keepcomingback.net. She gave me my first drink, and she took me to my first meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous. So in middle school, I had my first drink with her, and then in my 20s, she took me to my first meeting. And she has not had any sobriety. So I watch her, and I watch her family support her. I mean, bought her a house, bail her out of jail. She gets money every month. I mean, she does not have the gift of desperation. I don't know how she's still alive, because I'm 45. She's 45. So I have no idea. But I wish that she had just been given the chance to have the gift of desperation, and she would be willing to do anything to get clean and sober. But she's not desperate enough. It's still kind of working for her out there. And as long as it's still kind of working for us, we're probably going to keep doing it. I don't know about you, but I am not motivated by the carrot. I'm motivated by the stick.
Absolutely. Yes. So we often talk about the other people in the outside world. When they talk about tough love, they believe it's divorcing someone from your life, kicking them out, taking them off the insurance, doing all these things. Where in the 12-step world, Tara, I believe that tough love is just not enabling behavior. And it sounds like your friend has many enablers in her life.
Yes, unfortunately, that is true. And I certainly don't blame them at all. They have their reasons, some of which I understand, some of which I just have no idea of, but I'm sure they're making their decisions with a lot of heartache and heart-wrenching. They're not flippantly making these decisions, right? And perhaps I presented it in a flippant way, but I recently texted one of the family members, and it was not responded to. It was a very long AA message, which was just, you don't have to believe in her, but if you have no hope that she's ever going to get it, keep that shit to yourself. Because I'm the only person on earth that has any hope that she's ever going to get it. You guys look at her and shake your head, and she's never going to get it. Just give her the money, let her go. Anyways, that's probably out of context, but I have no problem upsetting people to help somebody in the rooms, whether they're suffering or not.
Well, so quite often that enabling type of behavior, I was at a meeting once, Tara, and there was a parent there, and they were just asking us for advice. They were saying, we've given our child everything. We've sent them to rehab. We give them money. We give them cars. We pay their bills, and they still can't get well. And one of the longer timers said, why don't you get out of the way and let God do his work?
And that has to be an unbelievably hard decision to make, because you are seemingly rolling the dice of, well, if I don't give her money or buy her a house, then I don't know she's safe, and she could die. And I look at her, and we're 25, 30 years into this almost, and I think, oh, death would be, it's like she's tortured, she's completely suffering. Death would have been a grace. Anyways, I'm off topic, but yeah, I think that the enabling is very, very difficult. I hope that I never have to be in those shoes to let my children have their gift of desperation. But in the event that happens, I have 3 boys. Each kid increases the possibility here. It's all the more reason to have a strong program. It's all the more reason to keep doing what I'm doing. If I thought, you're never going to drink again, don't worry about it, I would still have to do all of the stuff I do for my program, not to stay sober, but to handle life as a human. And that kind of goes back to your earlier question, which is, how do we have a perception change with the 12 steps in the rooms and what we learn here? And it's the perceptions change as being human is really, really tough. And this is a program for living at peace with being human. And fortunately, we had, at least I think I can speak for you too, Jim, remembering your story that you shared. We had the gift of desperation. It was life or death for us right in front of our face. It was, God, please help me. Help me. And not every human suffering as a human gets that opportunity. Not everybody has an addiction to alcohol or drugs. So the gift of desperation is necessary. It was necessary for me to be willing to do the program. And then I did the program, and I got all these other rewards. And I thought, how was I living without a program like this before? And I wasn't. I was existing.
Well, we've often talked, Tara, about it, and we talk in the meetings that the program is designed for living. It's a discipline. It's a lifestyle. And that leads us into the next segue into our nice topic of avoiding complacency.
Yeah. Sunday, I was, so my complacency starts with sugar. So I don't have an eating disorder yet, right? But though my body is very sensitive to what I eat and my mood, it's directly correlated. Maybe it always has been, and I'm just now realizing at 45, like, oh wow, I ate those cookies last night and I woke up feeling kind of melancholy. What the hell? What does sugar have to do with it? So I'm just now realizing, and I'm laying in the bed Sunday morning feeling awful because we had a movie night Saturday night. We watched The Wild Robot, By the way, my 12-year-old and my 9-year-old son both almost cried watching this movie. It's so sweet. And I made them cookies, and then I wake up Sunday and I'm thinking, shit, I got to do that podcast with Jim tomorrow night. Like, I haven't done my journaling in days. I haven't done my affirmation cards. I am not spiritually fit to have a conversation that is recorded. And immediately it was like, okay, well, I know what to do. I'll pick up my books. I have my books here. I'll just start. Just pick up something. Stop eating the cookies, and eat a salad, and eat some carrots. And it's just one little good decision after another. And the complacency is usually not noticed until I wake up feeling melancholy. That's typically my red flag of, ooh, I wouldn't say depressed, because I've been depressed when I was drinking. I've been dark depressed, darker than I ever want to be, not darker as some, but melancholy is a safer, more accurate word. And I don't live with a lot of sad feelings in sobriety. When I'm doing the deal, I can get angry and moody, and I can get tired, but sad, like overwhelmingly sad for no good reason, that just doesn't happen when I'm doing the deal. So that's my red flag of, okay, you need to prioritize this stuff again. You need to set your alarm, get up, do your deal. So complacency, and I see people do it. One person told me, he was one of the first, I think, 20 people that shared on Keep Coming Back, and he had a awful, painful story. He was the first to disclose all kinds of information that I never thought anybody would say out loud. And he said that meetings were the last thing that went. He's like, no, I stopped doing my prayers. I stopped doing my this. I stopped doing this. I stopped calling my sponsor. I stopped calling people in the program. Meetings were the last thing I was holding on to, because they were easy to just get up and go. So that kind of stuck with me. That really stuck with me, because there are so many other things I do to keep my head on straight and to keep a sincere smile about, maybe I just don't like being human. And so I need all of this shit to make it bearable. I do not know. But complacency is awful. And I have a solution now to get out of that feeling. And that's get back on the horse. Whatever you can do today on that horse. If it's just read one book, just read one book. Try to do 2 tomorrow. So yeah.
Well, sometimes we need that pointed out to us.
I've heard a lot of women say to their husbands, you need to go to a meeting. My husband has never told me that I need to go to a meeting. Never, not once.
Okay. Well, sometimes we need blind spots pointed out to us, and that kind of and again, you're making these perfect entrances into other topics that I wanted to discuss with you. And the next one goes along with complacency. It goes along with not feeling part of. Is the illusion of separateness. The illusion of separateness.
Well, I'm not as far along on my journey with that one, Jim. I'm really not. Catch me in a year on that one.
Well, that's what I always explain to everybody, that the first word is we of Alcoholics Anonymous, not I of Alcoholics Anonymous.
Yeah.
We're all connected. We're all connected.
And isn't life so much more peaceful when we recognize that before we react?
That's sometimes when people come to see me and maybe they slipped or coming from a rehab, whatever, I'll just be blunt with them and I'll say, you've lost your way. Get back on the path. You need to be with your brothers and your sisters.
It's I don't particularly like humans um, in general, but I do love people in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. So the healing that I get from that community is priceless. And the idea of like my brothers and sisters, it's easy to wrap my mind around that when I'm in the rooms, right? We all have we're all this common thread, more than one common thread, I would say, in most situations. But out in the world, when I'm driving, or when a lady's being rude, or a man, or like thinking of every human as a brother and sister, uh, I'm pretty far behind on my growth there. But
Well, I'm not talking about the whole world. What I'm talking about is being with like-minded people, your brothers and your sisters in recovery. As it said, it's our singleness of purpose that bind us together, Tara.
yeah,
We share a commonality that few others have.
yeah, there's something about the staying connected that heals in a way that none of the other little things I do offer.
As a reminder, we'll be coming back next week for our continuing conversation with Tara from www.keepcomingback.net and a free prescription. Fruits, nuts, and vegetables. Unplug your television and take up fishing. And for a truly mindful experience, we suggest that you fish without bait. Please do a kindness for another, and please do a kindness for yourself. Please forgive yourself and forgive another. If we're all not God's children, then none of us are. Till all are free, none are free. Namaste.
Please check out our website at fishingwithoutbait.com, where you can listen to the show, comment on our discussions, and find out where you can subscribe to our podcast. If you're interested in flying the colors of Fishing Without Bait, click the shop icon on our website. We have clothing, mugs, cell phone cases, and so much more. Show the world that you fish without bait. This show is a member of the Sorgatron Media Podcast Network. Find out more at sorgatronmedia.com.